Good morning. Today is day 19 of my 30-day health challenge, and I am starting today's recording from the LAX airport. I'm flying out of Los Angeles to return home to my husband. So I go from LAX airport to DFW airport. And yesterday when I finished the recording for day 18, I didn't feel so tip-top. So today I tested myself for COVID just to make sure that I was safe for travel for other people's sakes. And thinking back to why I didn't feel so tip-top last night, well, it makes perfect sense considering the eating day that I had yesterday. I spent the morning with my daughter. We had some one-on-one time before I left, and she took me to a restaurant called, I think, The Butcher's Daughter, and we had a glorious meal there, but it was a lot of mixed fuels, both carbs and fats, the two energy sources or fuel sources, depending whether you're speaking Marty Kendall's language of optimizingnutrition.com or you're speaking the Trim Healthy Mama language of fuels, S's for fats and E's for carbs. And when you have them together, you have an XO, a crossover of the two fuels. And in Marty's language, when you put the two energy sources of fats and carbs together, you are storing up for winter. So anyway, this is the start of day 19, and I probably won't do any recording on the airplane unless I decide to slip into the bathroom and do a recording, and that seems silly. So I'll just have this clip from here at the airport while I'm waiting for my boarding time, and then I will finish up tonight after I get back home to Texas with a recap of the day. So what I want to share right now while I'm here waiting during my boarding, before my boarding happens, I will go ahead and take my first morning glucose reading of the day, which I hadn't done this morning at my daughter's home because I was busy making sure I was packed and ready to go on time. And so I didn't start the recording there in the backyard, which I've done for the past most of the past 17 mornings. And I just decided to wait until I got here to the airport to start today's day 19 recording. So I will turn the camera around and I will take my first glucose reading of the day, and I will consider it my morning fasting glucose, my waking glucose on the data-driven fasting app, and I will also consider it my pre-meal glucose reading because I brought food with me to the airport. I really don't want to buy the airport food, and I had made a food packing plan beforehand. Actually, I have this little cooler here with me. So I've got some pieces of gingerbread in there, and I've got some of the protein crepes with peanut flour turned into peanut butter rolled up. So that's a good dose of protein. And while my gingerbread cakes were not made this time with Sweet E's protein-packed baking blend, she calls that the EFB, extra fat burning baking blend. There'll be a link to that in the description box to her. To that, I'll link also the recipe that I used to make my gingerbread cake and a recipe link for the protein crepes. So turn the camera around and take the glucose reading. That's my next task. Okay. All right. There's my 3 test strips. Get the meter out. I definitely need to call Dario because that has sprung a little bit. But I'll take care of that when I get back to Texas. So I'm waiting for the insert a test strip to pop up. There it goes. And let's do that finger. Get a drop of blood. And do that. And then another drop of blood. 74. I can hardly believe that, considering how I ate yesterday. Well, I guess I get a little freebie because I've been working on my glucose improvement, and so I have some leeway. That's all I can think. And 85. That's more like what I was expecting, but take a couple numbers and make sure that they compare, and then we'll know more decisively. And if I have to, let's pull up another drop in case I have to take another number. 84. Nope. Okay, so we have two numbers close together now. So we have the 85 and the 84. Those are close enough together. Last night I went to bed with a 95. And so now I'm going to enter into the, sorry about that, into the data-driven fasting app. I will, here, let's put this back together. Yeah, that's definitely sprung. Maybe I'll just make a call from here at the airport while I have time waiting. All right, so track glucose. I'm going to do it as my waking. 84. And the time is 10:21, which probably that's not accurate for waking, but it'll have to be good enough. And then I'm going to do it as my before meal. And I'm going to change that time, 10:21, to make it match exactly. I can dial it down. Okay, and now 84. And I'm leaving will you eat checked. I'm not hungry, so I am going to check it as one, not hungry, but I am breaking my fast. So I check, no, I don't, wait a minute. I scroll up and I hit record. Okay, is there a message this time? All right, this is interesting. Another time of no messages to me. But I do have a daily lesson I can share with you. How often do I have to test my blood glucose? I will open that up to read more, but then I'll sit down and read it to you. And it's probably just a little short thing. Yeah, it is short. So let me turn the camera around. So this says, for the most part, you should only test your blood glucose to validate hunger before eating. This could be as little as twice a day or even less if you identify your main meal regardless of your blood sugar. That main meal idea is if you're going to eat a meal, no matter what, then you don't have to test before that meal, but you would use your discretionary meals to test before so that you don't have those unless you are down close to your trigger, down or below your trigger. So then you would have those discretionary meals. And the main meal you would not bother testing for. And then the way you would learn how to improve your food choices is to keep track of your pre-meal numbers that are discretionary meals and see how they're doing, and just keep reading from the data-driven fasting materials to learn about how you can improve your glucose numbers by whether you choose to combine fuels or energy sources, whether you choose to just prioritize protein and nutrients, which in Trim Healthy Mama terms is really doing fuel pulls, having proteins, lean proteins, and non-starchy veggies and leafy greens, and keeping fats and carbs at bay. So back to this. We also like you to test your post-meal glucose during baselining. That's the first 3 days of data-driven fasting, and your waking glucose at the start, which is the baselining, first 3 days. Then during and end of the eating window stage. So in this little blurb, Marty included a map or a grid to remind us of the stages of a challenge. So let me hold that up into the screen so you could see it just a second. Okay, so that shows all 30 days of a challenge from 1 down to 30. It shows the phases: baselining, hunger training, eating window, meal skipping, and consolidation. That's where you kind of wrap up your learning and take all these things you've learned from and you consolidate the learning. And then he's checked off when you ideally would test your blood sugars. So all the check marks mean when you could ideally check your blood sugars. And the only one that's kind of a given is the pre-meal. Always checking your blood sugars pre-meal. So that's the overview of a 30-day fasting challenge.
I am home, I am home, I am home. I'm coming to you from our backyard in Texas. I thought it would be a nice way to wrap up my trip from California, though I don't think I'm going to be videoing out here in the morning or at night. I mean, first of all, listen to the cicadas. They're so loud. And it's not cool and temperate here like it is in California. I just pulled up the weather listings for my favorite places, or the places I have dear and near to me. So in Los Angeles right now, where I was this morning, it's 76 tonight, and it looks like they only had a high of 84 today, and they're going to go down to 64 during the night. Right now here in Richardson, Texas, it's 98 degrees. And it looks like we had a high of 103, and we're only going to go down to about 82 tonight. Post Mills, my little village in Vermont, 70 degrees right now. So, anyway, it feels good to be home. I unpacked my suitcase and everything is put away, and I'm ready to call it a night in a few minutes, but I will show you my end of day glucose. I'm going to have a cup of oolong tea, and I'm going to have one of the pieces of gingerbread that I packed and brought home with me. I thought I would be eating it as I traveled, but I didn't. So I'm going to call it a day with a piece of gingerbread and oolong tea. Just kind of decompress for a few minutes before going to bed. I ate very lightly. All I had while I traveled were the protein pancakes that had been filled with peanut flour that I added a little bit of sweetening, some salt, and water to, and made it the consistency that I wanted just by thinning it with water, and filled the protein crepes with that. So I wrapped those up individually and ate a couple of them on the plane. The recipe will be in the description box for the protein crepes. When I stepped outside, not only did I see that my husband kept my basil alive, but I saw this gorgeous little green gecko in the basil popping up out of it. I don't know if you might, can you see him? I hope you can see him. So I spoke to him and said hello and hoped that he likes his little basil home. Okay, so I will turn the camera around and show you my glucose from the end of the day. I ate 2 separate times today while I was traveling, and it was just to kind of keep me going, to keep some fuel in me. I wasn't really driven by hunger. I just thought it was a good idea to eat. Probably could have fasted the whole day based upon what I ate yesterday, but I chose to have the protein at least. So here goes the camera. I'll flip it around and show you my bedtime, going to bed glucose. Of course, this gingerbread cake is going to change that, but it's not loaded with energy because the flour used for it is both low carb and low fat. And then the only other fats that were added to the cake are the whole eggs, the yolk and the whole eggs. So back to the glucose reading for tonight. By the way, I did call the customer service number at Daria while I was at the airport and have arranged to have a new meter kit sent to me since the spring on this one has sprung. This little part here has broken, and so it's not working as it should. All right, so get the meter out and put that in. And then I have my 3 test strips. Open the Dario and get a drop of blood. Boy, are those cicadas loud tonight. No, I didn't get anything that time. Let's see if we can do it this time. I might need to change my needle, which I hardly ever do. Okay, so pull up another drop while we're at it. 81, all right. Let's see what the next number is. Don't stop until I have 3 numbers in agreement. More blood here. 85. Close. Let's see if we can get it tighter. Okay, one more. Maybe that'll be the end of it. Okay, 85. All right, so we're going to say that my bedtime, going to bed, or maybe just the, post-meal from traveling and eating protein, peanut, flour, whatever, pancakes. See, that when I click the meter back in, this part didn't click down, so I have to do it, kind of make it go down. This is the contraption where if you pull this back, the meter pops up, and this part is supposed to click in, but it's lost some of its oomph there. So Daria said, no problem, they'll send me a replacement. So at 97 degrees, I don't think I'm going to sit here and record much more, or even bother to drink my tea and have my gingerbread cake out here. I'm going to go inside in the nice air conditioning. But I wanted to end today's day 19 of my 30-day health challenge in the backyard, like I've done with most of the days thus far. I can't remember if I did the first one when I was in California in the backyard, ended that day or not, but anyway, it feels good to be back home, get to sleep in my own bed tonight, make something good for my husband for dinner tomorrow night so he knows that I'm back on the job. I guess that's it. I'll just say good night.